All right, guys. So, comedian Bill Burr, let's just say he's not one of these fake independent media types. He's not an edgy, right-leaning guy who decided, I'm going to coddle Trump's nutsack on a daily basis now and head down to Mar-a-Lago, right? He still has maintained his integrity. And he still is much closer to the likes of George Carlin than Rush Limbaugh. His buddy Rogan, different story now. He's way more like Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity than he is like Bill Hicks or he is like George Carlin. But Bill Burr has stayed true to his comedy roots, right? And Bill Burr punches up. And by the way, because people know where his heart is, he actually gets away with a lot more edgy jokes on edgy topics than a lot of these other right-leaning comedians, right? So he talked about the United Health CEO Kílling, and here's what he had to say.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month, and now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy fucking pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Crime is legal in this country if you wear a suit and tie. That's how it works. How many Wall Street bankers went to jail after the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession? How many went to jail? The answer is none. None of them went to jail, even though fraud was a business model on Wall Street. And countless people had their homes foreclosed on. None of them went to jail. None of them did. The crimes were endless. And so there is this, just barely beneath the surface, there's this bubbling hatred at the system and the way it functions. Because it certainly looks like, hey, if you're powerful enough, if you're wealthy enough, it doesn't matter what you do. You get away with it. You get away with it. So to put this in perspective for you, I'll show you guys this. This is profits for the health insurance companies. In 2013, United Health made $7.86 billion in profits. 2023 skyrocketed to $32.4 billion. Now let me ask you, how the hell did they make that money? How did they make that money? You know how they made that money. People pay them every month, and then when the time comes that they need help for some medical issue, you then have to submit a claim to say, hey, can you please help me with this medical issue? Help me with my bills. And the whole industry is based on, let's try to avoid paying out on the claims as much as humanly possible. So price gouge you on the front end and charge you as much as humanly possible, and then on the back end, try to deny care as much as you can. And one of their biggest tricks is, we declare that this thing your doctor says you need is too experimental for us to pay out on it. So you're on your own if you want to do that. And then also copays, deductibles, right? I love the idea of you pay them every month, and then when you need help, even if they cover it, it's like, okay, depending on your plan, it's like, okay, we'll cover it, but also you got to pay the first $2,000 or $3,000. And it's like, well, then why the fuck have I been paying you every single month? By the way, they have 5-6% profit margin, which is colossal. The whole industry is a rapacious, unnecessary, for-profit middleman that gets in between you and your doctor and price gouges you and skims off the top. That's the whole, as I said in this tweet, it's a mafia. It's a mafia. But since they wear suits and ties, and since they're part of the organized system, people think, oh, well, then it's okay. So in other words, they would say, hey, we're just doing our job. Oh, are you? Where have I heard that defense before? Where have I heard that defense before? Guys, it's not enough anymore. It's not enough. Like, people are onto the fact that just because violence is baked into the system doesn't mean it's moral, doesn't mean it's ethical, doesn't mean it should be that way. And of course, the reality is, and this is something, there's a massive propaganda effort to keep Americans in the dark about this, but the reality is, we are the only developed country that doesn't have one version or another of universal health care. We are the only one. And that's not covered with the urgency that it should be covered with, because oftentimes a lot of these giant industries are giving ad money to mainstream media, right? So this is not going to be covered in the way it should be covered, which is hair on fire. This is an emergency. This is a scandal. 68,000 Americans are dying every year because they don't have basic health care. Medical bills are the number one cause of bankruptcy. So everybody just acts, oh, since this is how it works, this is the only way it could work, and it's okay because the criminals in this instance are wearing suits and ties. Well, no, it's still a mafia, and they're still gangsters, and they're a leech on the ass of society. They just are. They just are. As Bill Burr said, it's like, you're mass murderers too, but just because you don't pull the trigger, it looks clean to some people. But people are onto the trick. They're onto the trick. There's no getting around it anymore. I mean, this is one of the most crucial industries that should not exist. This might be at the very, very top of the list of something that just cannot and should not be in the realm of profit. Profit. So, Bill Burr, keeping it real. God bless him. And yeah, this is one of those moments that will separate the truth tellers from the liars, right? It'll separate the truth tellers from the liars. And it's like, I shared a meme the other day. It said like murder and showed basically Luigi killing the CEO. But then right underneath it, it says also murder. And it shows the CEO sitting at a desk, smoking a cigar with his feet up in a pile of money. And somebody walking in with a piece of paper that says claim denied, laying on the ground dead. And it's like, if you're not talking about that aspect of the equation, you are not being honest. You're just not. And that's why, like you've seen, 70, 80, 90% of the reaction online was what it was. Was what it was. Even among right-wing fans of Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, people, they were saying, look, it's not a left versus right thing. We're all fucking pissed at the way the system works. We're all pissed. We all have horror stories. So many people have gone bankrupt. So many people can't afford their care. So many people run into these bureaucratic hurdles that are put there for the specific reason of trying to squeeze every penny out of you and deny you as much as humanly possible. People are fucking sick of it. People are sick of it. It's time for single payer, Medicare for all. Everybody's health issues are covered by your tax money, and that's it. The single payer is the single insurer. It's the government. It comes out of our tax money. That's the end of it. No Weasley middlemen. By the way, under our private health system, there's about 18% administrative costs. 18%. Under Medicare, the public system for old people, 2% administrative costs. So not only do you get better care and cover everybody, it costs less. It costs less. This is a criminal gangster system. And even a comedian like Bill Burr is onto it. He's onto it. And he's calling a spade here, which is way more than you can say about other so-called comedians who have decided our job is to coddle Trump's nuts on a daily basis and pretend like he's a change agent when he is the head of the establishment. He was president. He's a multi-billionaire. He's stacking his administration with billionaires. His number one accomplishment last time in office was tax cuts for billionaires. And we're going to pretend like he's anything but, you know, a total corrupt robber baron? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Well, thank you, Bill Burr, for telling the truth. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.